Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. My name is Mondez Thomas. I will be your host today. I am the managing advisor here at Peace Advisors here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We help people with health insurance, life insurance, retirement planning, and investments. Feel free to give us a call if you ever need help with any of these items. Visit us on our website at www.peaceadvisor.com. That's www.peaceadvisor.com, and we'll be glad to set up an appointment, meet with you, go over whatever you may have going on. We've been in the Charlotte area for about 12 years now, helping people with Medicare, health insurance, like I said, retirement planning, investments, protecting your assets. So these are the types of things we go over. Today's show, we actually wanted to introduce ourselves. Some of the principles that we stand on are ensuring, investing, and impacting our community. And one of the biggest things we see in our community is lack of education. And not necessarily the education that you get in school, but sometimes the financial education, sometimes the basics. And people make many decisions, some informed and some uninformed. And we just wanted to take today and go over just some real basics in money management to help people become wealthier. One of the biggest things that we have is understanding how we determine our wealth, how we determine our profitability. So one of the biggest things that you see is the formula that we use. We use the income minus expenses equals profitability. This is important to understand because when you take these numbers, you will always be able to make good decisions. Okay, so we take our income, we subtract our expenses, and then that equals our profitability. So when we look at our budget, you take an entire budget, you can actually write it on a piece of paper, you can use an app, you can look at it online, however you want to do it, just do it. And what we want to do is look at exactly where our money's going. So your income, of course, is going to be your income sources. This is going to be your job. This is going to be any businesses that you operate. This is going to be money that you borrow from people. This is going to be any investments that are paying you returns. So what you want to understand is where your money's actually coming from. And it's important to really be honest with yourself. A lot of people lie to themselves. They don't admit what's going on. But once you start being honest with yourself, you can see where your money's coming from. So what we look at first is where your income's coming from. And then that's usually a fixed number. So you can only work so many hours in a week. You can only, if your salary, you're only going to get paid so much per month. So these numbers are usually fairly solid. We want to increase these numbers, of course, to increase our profitability, but it's more feasible to actually address our expenses. So when we look at expenses, this is where a lot of people lie to themselves, me included, where we actually spend our money, where our money's actually going. So what you want to look at when you're spending your money is, of course, your fixed expenses, which is going to be your rent, insurance, car notes, education expenses, whatever those may be, food expenses, living expenses. And then you also have your flexible expenses, which are going to be like your, entertainment, having fun, going out on town shopping, all that stuff. So getting a hold of all this information and actually looking at it is the first step in becoming successful. A lot of people actually have a lot of fees on their account. We hear about people doing the NSF fees. You have to float a check or whatever, try to get 2 days in between and use your bank account to cover your expenses for a couple days. Then you get hit with a bunch of NSF fees and then you pay it back. This is negative thinking. So we need to actually get out of that. If your bank is charging you NSF fees, you need to evaluate why you're actually paying those. The rate that you're paying those is actually probably higher than anything you would be charged on a credit card or anything else. So let's take a look at that first. There's plenty of bank accounts out here that have no fees, zero fees. And first you need to look at that. Some people use Cash App for their checking account or Chime or something like that. And these platforms usually don't have fees, but they also don't give you the leverage that you need with a bank. So shop around, take a look at different accounts and find one that works best for you. But when you're looking at your bank account and you're evaluating your budget as a family or as an individual, again, you need clarity. You need to be honest about where your expenses are going. So anytime you see fees, anytime you see little things that you can minimize, all that's going to do is when you do your equation, your income minus expenses, all that's going to do is going to increase your profitability. Once you understand if you're profitable or not, that will actually help you make better decisions. I know it sounds crazy, it sounds simple, but for my entire 20s, I was living in negative profitability. Every month, it was like I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was borrowing money from this person, that person, just trying to make it happen. And I would pay everybody back. But at the same time, all that stress and all that extra worry, all that running around, I don't remember much from my 20s, just being honest. And I spent, 2 and 3 jobs working. I know people nowadays, you go to work, you get off work, you check into DoorDash. We have people that run their own businesses and they check into Amazon, work for Amazon during the day while they're trying to get their side business launched. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that hustle mentality. But at the end of the day, we need to evaluate, am I actually being profitable? Is my business profitable? Is my lifestyle profitable? Where can I minimize expenses? Some of us have increased expenses due to the recent inflation of rent, of gas, of food, and this is changing our profitability. And in some cases, what we're doing before does not make sense. So again, when I go back to saying that understanding your income minus expenses equals your profitability, understanding if you're being profitable in what you're doing, this is how we make decisions that affect our lives for the better. We should always be in a profitable state, no matter what we're doing. There's times where you might have to take a loss. There's times where emergencies happen and things like that happen. But at the end of the day, we always need to be profitable. So we look at that and understand how our expenses are actually affecting our profitability. One of the biggest expenses that we've seen is actually fun. So how do you actually have fun and keep making money? We see our friends on Instagram going on vacations, turning all the way up. We see them eating at restaurants, doing this, doing that, doing the most. And you know where they work, you know how much money they're bringing in, you have an idea, and you wonder, are they actually making good decisions at the end of the day? Or are they going to be hitting me up, asking me for a cash app for their birthday or for whatever holiday or whatever they need, because they spent all their money, they didn't manage what they had coming in. So again, we want to look at how to make good decisions, how to make smart decisions so that we're not affecting ourselves and we're not affecting those loved ones around us. We don't want to burn bridges. We don't want to burden people because, what's the point of asking your parents for money or asking loved ones for money when they're just as stressed as you are? Why create that drama in the family? Marriages end up in divorce because of finances more often than not. Parents fall out with their kids because of finances. We need to take responsibility for ourselves and for our own money. And once you begin to do that, things happen. And you can start to manifest the power of profitability, the power of success. All that stuff starts happening in your life once you start actually managing your money. So first things first, get rid of the fees. So if you have a bank account with fees, get rid of that account. Find one without fees. I'm not going to tell you which banks because they're not sponsoring our show yet, but check out the different banks. Go online. You can search for best accounts with no fees. Start there. Once I found a bank account with no fees, my profitability just jumped off the table. And all of a sudden I had more money in my account than I remembered having. And I was still doing the same thing. And all that money I had was actually just going to fees and I just wasn't really thinking about it. So that's the quickest way to quickly change your situation. All right. Now, again, we have to be honest with where our money's going. And when we look at our checking account, sometimes having just one checking account is never good enough. If you're single, I would recommend having 2 accounts. So you have one account for your bills, you have one account for your fun. So the fun account is money you can blow without even thinking about. The bills account is making sure you have a roof over your head and transportation to get you to and from work and meet all your obligations. You never want to disrupt your income if you don't have to. So you have to make sure that you're responsible enough to take care of your expenses at any given time. One of my cousins, no, he's my uncle. One of my uncles actually taught me when you're paying for your car, you have your car payment and he has a separate account just for his auto expenses, right? So out of this account, he has his car payment come out, he has his car insurance come out, and then he deposits extra money in there just for the maintenance of his vehicle. So oil changes, the tires, the brakes, the wear and tear that's going to happen on his car. And he told me, he said, Mondez, what happens is there's just money sitting in this account, and it's out of sight, out of mind. So when he looks at his bills, his car payment may be $400, his insurance may be $100, and then he puts an extra $200 in there for maintenance. All that money goes into his account out of his bills account. He doesn't think twice about it. Now, when his bills come out of his money, he doesn't have to worry about where my money is. Can I make my car payment? Can I do this? Can I do that? And he's actually accumulating money in there because it's an interest-bearing account. So he's making good money moves because he's He's utilizing multiple bank accounts. Okay, this is one way you can do it. When you have a bills account, make sure that account is earning interest. There's a lot of interest checking accounts right now that you can actually make money while your money's sitting there. Okay. Now, when we go to your fund money account, when you're spending money, whatever you're doing, what you want to look for is rewards. Okay. There's cashback opportunities. There's discounts that can be attached to your card. Several banks have different rewards programs. I mean, some people just use Cash App as their rewards program. So I can take my card, put money on my Cash App, and now my Cash App card is my spending money card. So I can put money on Cash App and I'm not worried about it actually affecting my monthly bills. Okay, I'm not going to earn interest on it. Whenever I need money or someone asks me for money, I can lend them money or I can use this money and I don't worry about getting it back. I'm not worried about whatever the case may be with that money. It's just money sitting there to blow. And what happens is it actually detaches you from the emotion of your money and your bills. So when you make your decisions, you actually are a lot more relaxed in that decision-making process. So multiple accounts is the easiest way. One thing that we don't talk about is savings. Savings accounts are very important and they're often very underutilized. One of the biggest problems with savings accounts is that they don't pay any interest. So the Fed has recently increased rates, and you may have seen the mortgage rates go up. You may have seen loan rates go up, credit card rates go up. Investment rates in savings accounts have also risen. So we offer various insurance products through our company, and our clients who are saving money with us are getting much higher returns on those investment products simply because the rates were increased. So, you can open up an account with us and we can pay you a larger amount of interest just for opening an account with us and rolling over your 401k than years before. Savings accounts directly affect, or interest rates directly affect the bank accounts. Savings accounts should be used as an emergency. Savings accounts should be used if you have kids and you're trying to put money away for college, child expenses, any type of goal you may have. If you want to go on a trip, if you want to save for Christmas, if you want to save for birthdays, teaching savings is very important. We have two types of people in society that we've classified. We have spenders and savers. Me personally, I'm a spender, but there are those people who are super savers and they can save so much money. They'll just have money squirreled away. They'll have money under the mattress. They'll have money in this account. They'll have money in that account. They always have money around, but they always walk around like they're broke, right? So we want to make sure you identify who you are, whether you're a spender or a saver, and maximize the returns on whatever you're doing. So coming from a spender perspective, like myself, I use multiple accounts. So my savings accounts, what I had to do was I actually had to have investment accounts with different companies, with our own company, and I'll just dump money into those accounts. And what happens is I buy stocks or I buy investments or cryptocurrencies and let those increase, or I'll let that be an emergency account where the money's just earning interest. In the meantime, I don't look at it. When you look at your accounts every day, you can get some sort of anxiety about it. So what I try to do is just not look at it. And what happens is that money just keeps growing. Okay. I have to put my money to work everywhere. So I'm always looking at, what stocks I want to buy, which investments I want to make, which ones I'm recommending to my clients. People ask me all the time, what should I buy? What should I get? And, I'm always having to be on top of it. So I'm looking for myself, where can I put my money that's going to be there for 5 years and I don't have to worry about touching it? Where can I put my money that's going to sit there for 10 years and I don't have to worry about touching it? The reason you have savings goals, for especially long-term savings goals, so this is to my 20, 30, 40-year-olds, you want to have IRAs, okay? You want to defer taxes, or you want to pay your taxes now so you won't have to pay taxes later on these investments. Because what happens is your investments, if you do it right, will grow and appreciate, and then that number will eventually go to your income line. So again, we go back to income minus expenses. The reality is we cannot generate an income for our entire life. We can generate an income for the years that we're able to work. So whether that's, from age 18 to 65, like the government wants, or 18 to 40, based on what our body wants, or, you may get to a point where you want to retire because you want to focus on your family. You may want to retire so you can focus on your community. You may want to spend your time doing the things you want to do instead of doing things for other people. There's no telling what we want to do in our life and what's going to happen, but to be able to afford to have the flexibility to do the things that we want allows us to have that peace that we require in our life, the peace that we deserve. So again, we want to make sure that you have access to all the options. You start today planning for tomorrow, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And by building up your investments, by building up your savings accounts, by maintaining a profitable lifestyle, all these things become available to you. You begin to make better decisions. You remove a lot of stress in your life. You remove a lot of drama, a lot of BS that you don't have to deal with. And again, you can hit your goals. You can actually put it on a map. You can put it on an Excel spreadsheet and map out exactly when you're going to retire and what your retirement goals look like. Okay. So again, your investments, the purpose of your investments is to fund your income. One number that we use is 3%. We use 3% because that's just a roundabout number for the U.S. Treasuries. U.S. Treasuries can be purchased and you don't have to pay taxes on that income. So we can use that number as a tax-free income. We just estimate it 3%. So whatever your balance is, so say you have $100,000 in your investments, okay? We multiply that times 3% per year. So that's going to be $3,000. So $3,000 per year would be your income with a $100,000 investment. That's not a lot of money. That's what it is. But that's how you understand how much money you need. Now, if you save $1 million, if you get up to $1 million is going to create about a $30,000 a year tax-free retirement. And you look at it as a salary. So if I have to get, my lifestyle demands a $30,000 a year salary, it's going to be $1 million I need to hit is my investment goal. If you get to $10 million, now you're talking about a $300,000 yearly income based on your investments. Now, if you're spending more than $300,000 a year, you probably got some issues. But inflation could happen. So I'm not even going to judge. We don't know what's going to happen. And we don't know how many kids you're going to have or what type of expenses you're going to have or what type of medical expenses you're going to have. So there's no judgment here. But it just gives you an idea of what the numbers actually look like, what reality really feels like. How much money do I really need in retirement to enjoy my life, to maintain my level of living? So if you take your current income and divide that number by 0.03, you'll get the number that you need for retirement. That's at your current level to maintain your current status of living. That's the number you need in your investment accounts to do that. So once again, you take your current salary, divide that number by 0.03, or your household income if you're married, divide that number by 0.03, and boom, there's your target. So that's how we kind of determine that number. That's just an easy roundabout way to figure out how much money you realistically need to retire comfortably at your level. A lot of people never hit these numbers because they don't think about these numbers. They don't plan, they don't adjust their lifestyle, they don't modify what they're doing to hit these numbers. So we want to give you the opportunity to understand where these numbers come from. Now, when we talk about your income minus your expenses equals your profitability, the biggest thing with income is, of course, your job. All right. When you have a job, you need to maximize your income on your job. How do you do that? How do you actually, demand a higher salary? How do you increase your value at work? If you're a business owner, how do you, maximize your taxable revenue, your adjusted income after your deductions and everything? These are questions that you should be asking yourself. These are questions you should be asking your tax advisor. If you're a W-2 employee, you're limited on the number of expenses you can deduct. So opening some type of side business may be a good idea. And talk with your tax advisor on how you can make your everyday expenses deductions. All right. Sometimes we just have to wrap our mind around the possibilities of creating more income for ourselves rather than just going with the day-to-day. This is how it is. This is what I'm stuck with. This is my lot in life. Nothing's ever determined until you say so. Every day we wake up, we have the opportunity to determine what we're going to do that day. Whether we continue with the monotony, whether we continue with the success, whether we continue with the happiness, or whether we just blow everything up and start fresh. You can do whatever you want. All right. As long as you're willing to deal with the consequences of your actions. So we want to make sure that we're making, again, proper decisions in everything we plan out. And one of the biggest things I've learned dealing with our clients, we have, several thousand clients that we've talked to over the years, and people in all lots of life, from just starting their businesses to retiring out their businesses, passing on their businesses, closing their businesses. You have to do what makes you happy in life. You only get one life. You only get one opportunity to really embrace this gift that God has given us. And in that, you want to make sure that you're doing what you enjoy. Some people enjoy being with their family. Some people enjoy the adventure of discovery, of traveling and discovering new places. Some people enjoy their friends. Some people enjoy building their communities. One of our partners, she's an amazing community builder in West Charlotte. And I watched her build her nonprofit up, and she's doing amazing events, Juneteenth events, amazing workshops, and helping seniors in the community in West Charlotte. And it's amazing to see how she took her business and leveraged it, and now she's almost full-time in this nonprofit, and she's able to hire staff, and God literally gives her everything that she needs. So, it's important that you always chase your passion. Be honest with yourself. And that's why, we go back to, again, income minus expenses equals profitability. This is how you make good decisions. This is how you trust yourself. This is how you logically make good decisions every day, whether or not it's going to be good for you or negative for you. You can evaluate it based on these processes. So, we want to make sure, again, that you're looking at how your life, how your decisions affect your bottom line. When we look at your money coming in, what extra bonuses can you receive on your money? What rewards can you get? What discounts can you get? One thing we learned, especially with credit cards, if you actually do the rewards points, if you do the cashback points, if you do the travel points, you can get rewarded for using your credit cards. So some of our more successful clients, once you're great at mastering your credit, what you'll actually be able to do is charge all of your lifestyle expenses, your fixed expenses, onto your credit card. And then at the end of the month, you pay your credit card off one full swipe with the cash in your checking account that's been earning interest the whole month. And then you get rewards for all that stuff that you've been, your regular fixed expenses. Very simple, very easy way to multiply the amount of income that you're getting, the amount of, minimizing your expenses, giving yourself more opportunities to save in the future. We want to be able to have free trips. You want to be able to go to the islands, to Miami, to Houston, to California, Alaska, wherever you want to go. Why not get it for free, just for living your life? Why not manage your bills in a way that you actually generate the income or the cash back or the travel points with money you're just spending freely out of your checking account? Why not leverage that with a credit card where you're earning points on all of this stuff? These are simple things that you can do, and you'd be surprised how quickly that you go from negative profitability to positive profitability in your life. We shop online for credit cards. I can never recommend a good credit card because everybody's situation is completely different. But I will tell you that once you start building up your credit card, once you start building up your credit limits, what happens is you get increased flexibility, and a lot of your stress that you deal with on a daily basis, especially if you have a specific salaried income, that stress that you carry starts to go away because now it's on your card. It's not coming out of your checking account. Every time you wake up in the morning to get a cup of water and you look at your cell phone, you look at your bank accounts, your money's still there. You're not stressed out about, spending money or not having money. Soon you'll have $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 sitting in your checking account earning interest instead of in the, paying expenses, doing all this other stuff that you don't need to be doing without earning the benefits of that. If you like concerts, if you like, again, traveling, airline tickets, there's a million different opportunities out there for cashback rewards or, member rewards if you use American Express. So again, shop around, change your mindset about the way you look at your money, change your mindset about the way you look at your expenses. We need, as a society, to do better. To be completely honest, you'll never be able to trust the government. We get Juneteenth, a day to celebrate that they decided to inform us that slaves were free 2 years later. We get the 4th of July and we were still enslaved. This country wasn't designed to love us. So what we can do is focus on ourselves, take care of ourselves, and build our own communities up the way we see fit. And the reality is that's going to take money, that's going to take power, and that's going to take attention where we're not dependent upon everybody else to fund us. We're not dependent upon the reparations from the taxpayers, but we can take our own because we own our own businesses, we own our own industries. And with that, we own our own communities. With that, we can raise our children the way we see fit without the indoctrination of whatever society wants to determine is the cultural, substantive teaching at that moment. Power comes from owning what God gave you. God has given you the opportunity to love yourself, to love your family, to love your community. And we need to do more of that. And you can't love anybody until you love yourself. And you can't love yourself if you're out of order, if you're not profitable. Because when you're not profitable, you're really just a drag to yourself and you're a drag to all those around you. So again, we want to make sure you're using that formula. Income minus expenses equals profitability. You want to increase your profitability whatever you can. You want to be honest with yourself. If you're not profitable, find out what's costing you, where your negatives are, how you can minimize that. We strive for independence so much because we were taught that we're supposed to be independent, but then we laugh at immigrants who come over here and live 4 or 5 families deep in an apartment. Some of my clients are immigrants from Nepal. They're absolutely amazing. They came over, multiple families in one house. They went to school. They all got jobs. Now they all have their own homes after 2 to 3 years. And here we are looking at generations of poverty when they're able to get out of poverty within 1 to 2 years. They're able to support each other. They're able to live with their life and with their decisions. And, we're sitting here complaining, whining, and what about me? So again, take the time, have a discussion with your family, have a discussion with yourselves, meditate, figure it out, but obtain profitability in yourself and in your life. If you are interested in getting health insurance, Medicare, life insurance, or a consultation about retirement planning with us, feel free to visit us online at peaceadvisor.com, www.peaceadvisor, peaceadvisor.com, and we'll be glad to sit down with you and go over your options. Once again, this is Mondez Thomas with Peace Advisors. Thank you for tuning in for the Peace and Possibilities podcast. We look forward to speaking with you next week.